A scallop can't swim through honey for the same reason bacteria need flagella. That reason? It's called the scallop theorem. Let me explain. The scallop theorem, first described by physics Nobel laureate E.M. Purcell, is named for the reciprocating behavior of how a scallop swims. The simplest version of this motion is a hinge that closes quickly, opens slowly, then repeats. I hope we all have the intuition that, in water at least, such repeated motion will result in motion away from the open direction of the hinge. But what Purcell argued is that if the viscosity is high enough, or more rigorously, when the Reynolds number is sufficiently small, any such reciprocating motion cannot result in transverse motion. As an aside, the Reynolds number for a liquid is the ratio between inertial forces and viscous forces in said fluid. Let's look at the example of the scallop in more detail. Typically, a scallop swims by generating significant momentum during the rapid closing, and, while maintaining that momentum, slowly opening its shell again, only slightly slowing down in the process. And this works because water has a low viscosity, so the drag isn't so high compared to the weight of the water being pushed around. Hence, it has a non-small Reynolds number. But plop that scallop into honey and it stops working. Even though the scallop moves forward when it shuts the hinge quickly, it stops immediately after the motion is complete, and when it reopens its hinge, no matter how slowly, it moves back the same distance. The key here is that in a liquid with low Reynolds number, or high viscosity, drag is so high that its momentum is arrested almost instantly. Effectively, the only thing that affects the scallop's motion at the moment in time are those things that are happening to that scallop at that same moment. Its history just doesn't matter because no motion is maintained. Now, the Reynolds number of a liquid gets smaller the more you zoom in, so bacteria and the like exist in a low Reynolds number world. So the question is, how do they swim in light of the scallop theorem? The trick is that only reciprocal motion is subject to the scallop theorem. What this means is that if a motion is performed and then reversed at perhaps a different speed, the scallop theorem applies. Otherwise, your little bacteria gets off scot-free. And that's why so many bacteria have flagella that, for example, spin like a corkscrew. They never reverse the motion. In fact, this explains why bacteria have more sophisticated means of propulsion than, say, scallops. A scallop doesn't need it. I'm not really sure what the takeaway of all of this is, but I guess don't be cruel. Leave your scallops out of the honey.